So why am I joining ActionSA? I'll tell you why. I want to see real democratic change happening again in South Africa in my life. Many of us thought, people of my age thought, that we wouldn't see political change. We did see change. 1994 did bring change. I want to see change coming again. I want to see real political change coming again. And I realize that change doesn't just happen on its own. The only thing that happens on its own with regard to change are the changing of the seasons, the tides, and the difference between day and night. All other change, especially political change, comes with action, Herman. And that's one of the reasons why I'm here. It comes through action. I want to recall with you something that I recalled while I was making my decision to come and join Herman Mashaba in Action South Africa. I recall going to former Premier Makhenkesi Stofile's funeral in 2016 at Fort Hare Sports Complex. At that funeral there were thousands of ANC supporters, and there were hundreds of ANC leaders, including President Cyril Ramaphosa. And some of you will recall that Sipho Pityana, in his eulogy, exhorted the ANC to change their behavior. And he used the title of Benson Khubusane's seminal book written in 1912 to say to the people in that funeral and to the country, Zemkinkomo Makwalandini. So, for those of you who might not know what that means, it says, your cattle are going, cowards. Cattle meaning heritage. And the reason I'm here today is that our heritage is being stolen still. And that's 2016 and it's now 2021. 22. And President Cyril Ramaphosa was at that funeral. And he hasn't stopped the cattle rustling. Now, I don't mind if the cattle are being rustled from the ANC. But I really do mind that the cattle and our heritage is being rustled from this country. It wasn't only Sipho Pityana, it was people like the late Bishop Desmond Tutu, who warned the ANC. But they won't listen. I believe that the current political establishment has failed South Africa, and I'm convinced that they're not going to change of their own volition. Government has broken almost every single electoral promise that they've made, and there's an electorate, or part of the electorate, of over 50% that did not participate in the last election. Because people dislike, despise, and distrust politicians and political parties. And if you don't believe that, you must ask yourself, why did more than half of the South Africans who were registered to vote didn't vote? And then you'll realize that what I've just said is true. That constituency, to me, is probably the most important constituency for us to focus on, to mobilize them back into political activity and to get them to realize that they can bring about change. I have a political fire that burns in me, and I've watched ActionSA and its achievements, and I'm excited by what they've achieved, and I'm mostly excited by the apparent fact that they can attract support from across the board in South Africa. They've attracted urban votes from affluent communities to poor communities, peri-urban votes, and votes from the rural areas. And those are the kind of people that make up South Africa, and we need to appeal to them. Now, I want to tell you that my family were very happy when I left politics, especially my kids, because my dedication and conviction and commitment to that cause took its toll on my children. They also knew that I'd done what I could with what I had where I was. But as I said, I've got a fire in my belly, a political fire in my belly that is very difficult to douse. And it keeps nagging me and leading me to ask myself, have I done enough? And when Herman Mashaba asked me to come and see him to help him build an alternative to the current political establishment, I decided to put that nagging, questioning belly of mine to sleep and to do it again. And that's what I'm here today. And I want to conclude by using a quote that I don't know who first coined it, but I'm very motivated to get involved in this project because they say when you put a clown into a palace, it doesn't make him a king. But what it does do, it turns the palace into a circus. And if you have a television, you will see circuses happening in this country across all the municipalities, real circuses, which means that there are clowns busy with our business in those circuses. I was part of a circus here in this city. I know what it feels like. So I want to see if we can, if I could change that metaphor around a bit and say, see if we can put some nobility back into the palace and bring some sense and respectability and respect for voters back into government. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Herman Mashaba, the President of ActionSA.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you, Athol. Good morning to members of the media, our actioners here in the Eastern Cape. Thank you so much for making the time to be with us at this historic event. I think historic in the sense that when I made an approach to Athol at the time, I never thought it would be possible for him to really come back into this brutal work that we do. Because political work, if you are committed to serve your country, is brutal. Just to give you a sense, I got into politics in 2016, campaigning to be the mayoral candidate for the DA in the city of Johannesburg. I took over as the mayor of the city of Johannesburg in August of 2016. A few months later, or a few weeks later, up to today, I can't sleep without sleeping tablets, prescribed ones, because it's a nightmare. When I resigned from the city of Johannesburg, I thought things would really be better. They're getting worse. But at the same time, for me, this job is the most rewarding. The most rewarding. As a privileged South African, I regard myself, not lightly, I take it that I'm a privileged South African over the last 40 odd years of my life. I'm 62 years. Born in abject poverty, in a child-headed household. At the age of 22, I took a conscious decision to liberate myself under P.W. Botha. And that made me a privileged human being. By the 27th of April 1994, I was already a free man. And I'm using this freedom that I attained at the age of 22 to do what's best for my country. The price of using sleeping tablets compared to letting the country collapse, I think you cannot just really compare. And I'm so proud of South Africans for having given me this opportunity to serve my country at the time when my colleagues are in golf courses right now as we speak. They are in air-conditioned offices. For me, having an opportunity to work with people like Athol gives me such great pleasure, more especially for the Eastern Cape. It's one of the most ignored province in our country. And this is the province that actually delivered, to a large extent, delivered the democracy that we are enjoying that started in 1994. Why this region is being punished is beyond me. Your leadership that's responsible for being part of for bringing this new dispensation, they're settled all over in Johannesburg and everywhere else. They've left the poor and the vulnerable to fend for themselves. I think under the leadership of Athol Trollip, I believe we can reclaim and regain the pride of the Eastern Cape. We're having him as our provincial chairperson. Athol, thank you so much for really accepting this huge, huge responsibility. I don't have to really tell you how brutal this job is. You know it, we've discussed it. It's not going to be an easy ride. A lot of people are not going to be happy with you. But one thing for sure, majority are going to be happy. We're in a political environment. We're in a real world. You know, I always, every time when I get insulted, I always tell people that I'm not here to make friends with anyone, because I've learned as a religious person that if human beings can kill Jesus Christ, who am I? I don't expect to be loved by everybody. So when people don't like me, it doesn't matter to me. That's fine. They have every reason not to like me. But they are not going to determine my destiny. The destiny of Herman Mashaba is going to be determined by Herman Mashaba and no one else. People of Eastern Cape, please let me also profoundly apologize for not participating in the recent local government elections. I know we had tons of requests, many municipalities asking us to participate. And unfortunately, the Senate of ActionSA took a conscious decision not to really overstretch ourselves. Out of the 278 municipalities, we only contested in 6. And it was a strategic, conscious move to ensure that we can obviously provide a severe blow and change the political trajectory of our country. And we did that. Out of the 6 municipalities we contested, 3 in Gauteng, Johannesburg, Tshwane, and Ekurhuleni. And when we started, we said we wanted to bring the ANC under 50%. We contested, IEC made us contest as a logo, refusing to put our name. Made it difficult for us to register. You remember how we battled to register after launching the party. But because we are determined, no one is going to stop us. In the 3 metros, we brought the ANC under 40% in the early 30s. Nationally, for the first time since the dawn of our democracy, we brought the ANC under 50%. ActionSA played a major role. You can imagine contesting in 6 municipalities out of 278. Today, ActionSA is the 6th biggest party in South Africa. A party at the time just over a year old. Now, 2024 is around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. 2024 is around the corner. If you think it's far, I can tell you, wake up tomorrow, it'll be 2024. And I think what worries me, what really scares me, there's something that gives me sleepless nights. Are we going to make it to 2024? Because it appears to me that the ANC have already accepted that they are not going to be part of government in 2024 because of ActionSA. Now, what they're trying to do is now to destroy the country with them. You can imagine going to an extent of, you remember the 8 days in July. You know, I was ashamed of myself. In December, I was in Mexico when I saw on international media Parliament of the Republic of South Africa being burned down. And the people asking me over lunch or dinner, knowing that I'm from South Africa, they ask me, what the hell is going on in your country? And I think this took me back to the days of apartheid. I used to travel. My wife and I have been traveling extensively over the last 40 years. During the apartheid days in the 80s, we used to be ashamed of telling people that we are from South Africa because we could not explain what PW Botha and the National Party were up to. It was better to just let people not know, because how do you explain the National Party policies that discriminated us along racial lines? Today, 27 years into our democracy, I'm finding it difficult to explain to the international community the level of corruption in our country. A country with the highest sustainable unemployment rate in the world. We are the murder capital of the world. More people are being brutally murdered in this country, more than countries at war. We're the rape capital of the world. You can imagine when you overseas, people look at my wife or my daughter, knowing South Africa is a rape capital, they're saying, what are the chances, or how many times have you been raped? And some South Africans are prepared to sit back and do nothing about it. That's why I said, not in my name. And I'm really glad, Athol, really grateful. I cannot really pay tribute to you for accepting this responsibility. You've got to do it. We've got to do it for our children, and we've got to do it for the future of this country. We live in a democratic dispensation, unlike during P.W. Botha's era. During P.W. Botha's era, they would not even be ashamed to come and arrest us and, under whatever section. Today, we live in a democratic space. We can save this country by not burning our parliaments, our clinics, our schools, and burning tires in the streets. Every second year, we get an opportunity to save this country. Michael and I, and our colleague Andre, who's now at Oxford University, we started this movement. We launched it on the 6th of December, 2019. We started by engaging South Africans, starting what we called the People's Dialogue. It was CODESA 2, driven by civil society. And I remember quite well when I approached my family to underwrite this huge investment. The family wanted to know, what are you putting us into? What's involved? I said, I don't know. But I think it's a necessary project because there's an outcry for South Africans to save this country. But we cannot really start a political party without having the evidence of these people who are calling on us to start a political party, whether it's true or not. And I said to them, for me, it's not about the money. It's about having the evidence that there's support and a need for a new political party in the country. And I said, if I can have 500,000, I'll be happy. I said, any time after 3 months, because this project ran for 3 months, until the end of February 2020. I said, if less than 500,000 people give us the mandate, then I'm happy now to proceed. We were surprised. By middle of January already, we had 1.1 million signatories. Then we knew we were into something. By the end of February, we had what, 4.2 or 4.8, whatever. 4.2 million South Africans, 5 times the number of people. Of the 4.2 million South Africans, 165,000 of them gave us 10 to 12 page submissions on how South Africa can be saved. And we're grateful to those South Africans that actually started this movement. As I said, we contested in 6 municipalities because the party was launched on the 29th of August 2020, right in the middle of COVID. IEC made it difficult for us to register, leading to us contesting as a logo. But even with that, we achieved groundbreaking electoral support. Groundbreaking electoral support. We got support from Sandton, where I live. from Soweto, from Alexander, from Waterkloof, from Mamelodi, from Amanskral. That is why today, ActionSA, the officially sixth biggest political party in the country. But now, you are aware, last week I've resigned as a councillor for the city of Johannesburg after setting up the coalition arrangement, because the mandate of ActionSA is to remove the ANC from power. I think I want you to really bear this in mind. We are unapologetic about this. Our mandate from the 4.2 million South Africans is to democratically remove ANC from power. Because why? A prosperous South Africa and ANC cannot coexist in one space. One has to die. And fellow South Africans, it's not going to be South Africa that's going to die. It's going to be the ANC. And I'm really so glad to be joined by fellow South Africans committed. As I'm talking to you now, here at the moment we've got 4 provincial chairpersons: Gauteng, Northwest, Gauteng by John Moody, Northwest by Khosi Kwena Mangope, Western Cape by Faiki Mento, KZN by Musa Kubeka. And it is my pleasure today to announce the 5th member of our Senate, because the position that Athol is going to occupy as a provincial chairperson automatically makes him this position to really be in our Senate. And from Friday, for the 3 days, we are going on a strat session where we are going to plan how we're going to beat the government in 2024. Obviously, it's our wish that we can be government on our own, but we are happy to work with other parties as long as not the ANC. I think that's something that we as South Africans need to embrace, like all the democracies all over the world. Getting into coalition, you don't get into coalition because you share the same values. If we share the same values, then there wouldn't be need for different political parties. But when the voters have spoken, you have to respect that decision. You form a coalition with people you don't like, because I can tell you the coalitions in the 3 metros in Johannesburg, none of those political parties are my friends, and I don't want friendship from them, and I don't expect them to be friends with me. What we need to be committed to is to serve the residents. Leave our political ideologies behind, more especially at local government level. Let us focus our energies on running stable governments that can serve the residents without interruption and leave ANC out. That's really what political parties need to do. So I'm excited with this 2024 project that I'm going to run. I've given an opportunity to another councillor who I've already announced, who's taking over my position from the 1st of March, so that I can have space and time to really be able to crisscross the country. I've got 4 more provinces to get provincial leaders, because ActionSA in 2024 is going to contest all 9 provinces. And ActionSA is going to be part of that government that's going to emerge without the ANC in 2024. So time, it's against us. So we have to really relaunch our campaigns as a matter of agency. And having someone of the caliber of Athol, for me, makes it really very easy for us in the Eastern Cape.